Okay, cool. I want to start also to be respectful of everyone that made it on time. Thank you so much. My name is Matteo Cantarelli. My background is in engineering, and I'm the co-founder of MetaCell. I serve as the CTO, and I'm the product owner of NeuroGlass. Here today with me, we have Paolo and Saya. Paolo, Saya, do you want to briefly introduce yourself before we start?
Sure. Thank you, Matteo. Nice to see everyone. My name is Paolo. I'm a director of R&D at MetaCell, and very excited to be here with you today and take you through what NeuroGlass does today and what's going to happen tomorrow. Saya?
Hi everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm Saya. I'm the design lead working on NeuroGlass. I'm based in London. I'm excited to share what we have in the works here.
Cool. Thanks. Thanks, guys. So NeuroGlass, as you may have already seen from website, webinar title, is a collaborative platform for volumetric imaging that is based on open source NeuroGlancer. Now, before we start, I want to do a quick poll just to get an idea of how much people in the room are familiar with NeuroGlancer, have used it before, and same for NeuroGlass. So let me try if I can figure out how to launch this poll. Should be this one. So people in the room should be getting a pop-up. Yes, people are getting a pop-up. All right, amazing. And 70%, 82. All right, and it seems like we have some 80%, 75 familiar with NeuroGlancer. Okay, and pretty much 50% already familiar with NeuroGlass. Okay, this gives me a rough idea. Thank you, guys. So I will end the poll. Okay, so just a bit of background for how this started. 3 years ago, as MetaCell, we started contributing to open source NeuroGlancer. NeuroGlancer has been originally developed by the Google Connectomics group, and we started contributing in collaboration with the Allen Institute. I believe volume rendering is one of the first features that we contributed to. NeuroGlancer is kind of the most advanced and performant engine today to visualize volumetric data in the browser. It has a great community. It has more than 1,300 stars on GitHub, more than 350 forks. And today we keep making open source contribution to NeuroGlancer daily. And as MetaCell, we're also helping maintaining the project through a new community-led governance model. So we are big fans of NeuroGlancer, and as amazing as an engine it is, we started realizing some 3 years ago as we were working with it, how some of the things that makes it great also have some limitations. Like one of the things that is and has been super useful from the very beginning is how everything you have, every visualization that you have in NeuroGlancer is saved in the state and updated in real time with the URL, which means that it's super easy to take the URL, send it to a colleague, and the colleague will be able to just look at the same visualization that you have on screen. And while that is amazing, that also created all sorts of problems just from the sharing standpoint. People creating Excel spreadsheets to start tracking all of these links, different states of these visualizations, and sending them over to people. So in a sense, when we started looking at this space, we found something that was fairly similar to what used to happen. I don't know at this point if it was like 20 years ago with people sending Google Docs, not Google Docs, but like Word documents over email as attachment. So as they work together with text. So you get this file on your email, you open it, you read it, you make some changes. You were saving it, maybe giving it a different name, emailing it back, look at what I did, then you get back the file modified. And then at some point, Google Docs appeared. At some point, Google Drive appeared. And we find that just using Neuroglancer by itself was like that old paradigm. And as a testament to this, there's been different groups that have also started developing in-house some solutions, like some internal databases, perhaps, to start tracking these links and so on. And so that is the moment in which we realized that there was really a need for a collaborative platform that could help the community work together on this data. And we started from those kind of simple features like, sharing and having URL shortener and all the fundamentals. But then we kind of realized that there was more that needed to be done. And because all links look equal to one another, but it's like they may represent different things. A link may be a stable data set in which people are doing work over and over, and so it keeps evolving over time. Another link is perhaps something that was published, and it is a figure, and it is meant to be a snapshot. And so this is like where we come from in terms of background. And one thing that I want to stress out is the collaborative aspect that for us is very important. Our goal is really to bring together different scientific communities that work on volumetric images and have a platform essentially that can enable different institutions working together across different workflows and different modalities. So this means that like a researcher that is working on some data and perhaps is not even published, and so perhaps is not even on a public bucket yet, it's on a private bucket. We feel that if they are collaborating together on a paper with somebody that is a different institution, for instance, sharing this data and working together should be just a single click. Should be same as like you go to Google Docs, you click on the share button, you type the email address and you start working. And so while it is good on one end that like Neuroglancer has made it so that different institutions could create some tools, all of these tools kind of became different little islands and silos. And we really want with Neuroglass to have this like one place that can bring everyone together. At present, NeuroGlass has already been adopted by the Allen Institute, by BossDB, by Dandy Archive, and by Virtual Flybrain. We're also serving industry customers like Calico Labs and CROs that find in NeuroGlass an ideal way to share their data and their analysis with their customers. Okay. So I want to give you a very brief demo of the kind of things that you can do today with NeuroGlass. So let me share my screen. And so let me move it a little bit. Okay, great. So first of all, how do you use it? You go to neuroglass.io. This is my own, and in order to log in, you can just use your Google account or GitHub, or you can register and just have a traditional user email and password. Some concepts we introduced, and again, I won't go too deep because there are a lot of things we want to look at, but we can always chat more on the side. So for stable data sets, for those, if you think of Neuroglancer links, for those Neuroglancer links that really are meant to be the latest of some work that you are doing, we created one concept, which is a study. And here you can see some studies. You can already see some things that look familiar if you think, for instance, of Google Drive. So studies that come with a thumbnail, which is the latest state that you left your study on. You can tag them. You have here a panel on the side where you can see what layers are there. You can see who the collaborators are, and you can see metadata. In this case, this one particular study doesn't have any, but everything is there in one place. So when you open a study, you are here. So you will be familiar with Neuroglancer at the bottom, which has been polished. We are trying continuously to improve the user experience of Neuroglancer, and this is also one of the things that NeuroGlass aims to do. So here you have some things that you will be familiar with, like a history. Anything that you do, you press the save button, a new snapshot is created. The snapshots, we call them glances, and there is a thumbnail associated with them. So then you can just look at the history, or some customers are using it as a history. Some other customers are really using it, to pinpoint different visualizations for a particular study that they want to go back to. These descriptions are generated by AI. So as you do anything, a description is created which has a diff from the previous state. And of course, you can come there and you can just manually give it a name and give it a description. You can create figures. It's as simple as pressing this button. Every time you create a figure, then NeuroGlass automatically creates a glance for it, which means that then, so here you can see all the figures that I have associated to the study. If we go back to the dashboard, you can see all the figures that I have created, and you can see that you have open-related glance. So if this, for instance, ended up in a paper at some point, it's in a preprint, you need to make some changes, you can always go back to the glance that was used to generate that particular image, okay? So we have things such as AI that can be used for doing two things. One is to create changes to the state. So you know how in Neuroglancer, there are shaders that drive the visualizations. Maybe you're familiar, maybe you're not. Sometimes things can get fairly complicated depending on how complex your study is. Here you could just type make the brain red, for instance, and then there is a AI that generates a new state. You can see here what the diff is and so on. There is also an ask mode, and you can go, what am I looking at? Okay. And then you will have some information about, of course, usual disclaimers with AI. You're viewing 3D visualization of the full adult female brain. This is a Drosophila, and so on. How do you work with people? Let me just do the following. I will copy this study link, which I have set as public. So let me see if I can find. Probably the answer is no. Oh, here it is, chat. So I just pasted in the chat a link, and this link, anybody can click on it, and you will be inside of this particular study. Of course, you can have all sorts of permissions, private, public, people can read, and so on. And you will see that here there are some avatars that are appearing because you're joining a live study. So this is this is a feature we call live presence, and this is the very essence of like people being in the same space. And it is possible to click on any of these and see what that particular person is looking at. For instance, now I clicked on Sean, and I'm back and I'm looking at what is looking. This is just a snapshot, but in the future, we also will have the follow live. Okay. Very briefly, because I don't want to take too much of this time with NeuroGlass, everything is indexed. So there is a global search that can be used to look for anything. The states are also indexed. So I can just type IMBLR, for instance, and I will find all the studies in which, for instance, there is a shader that uses the IMBLR function. I can look for any metadata, okay? On top of glances and studies and figures, we also have data collections. Very briefly, think of data collections as multiple studies that share a common metadata schema. So think of a table. You create one of these with a CSV file. So you end up having different rows. In this case, this is a data collection from the Allen Institute where each data set, each row is a different brain. And why would you do this? You would do this because then you can just come here, you're inside the data collection, and these are all the data sets that you have here. And we separated out the data from the how you look at the data. And the how you look at the data, we are calling it lenses. So what does that mean? It means that I come here, I'm interested in a particular area, and I just click on a different data set, and I will be able to just with a single click to go precisely to that position, precisely to that visualization. Okay. And this does not require, to do anything complicated. These metadata can also be searched. Also with AI, you can come here and you can say, okay, I want to find all the data set in which orientation is LAS, for instance, and institution is AIBS. And you have, so you can use natural language, you're filtering, and what NeuroGlass is doing is essentially building a filter that can use this. We are adding more features like ability to comment, like you will do on Google Docs in the image, and tasks, such that anything you need to do on a particular study as a team, you can task other people to do this. But to go through this, we have Saya, and who will take over.
Matteo. Cool. Thanks, sir. Right, let me just share my screen. Cool. So as Matteo has mentioned, two things I'll go through today. So comments and tasks. First thing being comments. So this are things we're actively working on. It's not live yet, but it will be soon. So first thing is comments. Right. So to add a comment, I mean, comments are pretty standard. We know how comments works, but maybe it's not available on the the visualization applications you're used to, but they are there now, soon, possible with NeuroGlass. So you just activate the comment tool. Now you can start commenting. You can also see the comments that are associated with your study. For instance, here I have 6 comments, and I'm collaborating with 3 others with my teammates. Right, so to add a comment, we have 2 types of comments. We have the point comment and the ROI comment. So the point comment, let me just move this over. Oops. Right, so the point comment essentially adds a comment to any point of the data that you want, right? So for instance, let me just add a quick comment. Oh yeah, so with comment as well, we follow the standards comment functionalities that you would have, right? You would have mentioning, you would have things like resolve, unread, read. I'll go through that in a bit. But mentioning is also possible. So I'm just tagging Matteo to look at this area of the section for whatever reason, right? We want to focus on this area. Maybe it's an interesting area. Maybe we need to do something in terms of the imaging, etc. You would tag that through comments perhaps, and then you can go from there. You can also have, of course, discussion threads, so things like that are possible. Look again, Matteo. Yeah, things like that. Those are all possible. So another comment type is range of region of interest, right? So this basically creates a comment on an area of the data, not just a point. So if you want to select and comment on a specific area, and you can see on the 3D panel, but you can also see on the 2D panel. So the comments are all connected throughout all the different panels. Maybe you want to leave a note for yourself, review this later. Right? You have that all on the side. So say we go back to the one that we were just mentioning earlier. You can do that just by clicking here, maybe a different random one that goes directly to that area, right? You can see it on here, you can see it on the 3D. Here's an example of a different one as well. So my apologies, I think my computer is a bit hot in London today, and I don't think it appreciates the heat as much as I do. Right. So here you can see, so all the comments are attached to a number, just to make it easier to differentiate. Okay, you have hashtag 2 on here. This is the equivalent comment on the 2D panel, essentially. And we go back to the sidebar, say you're done reviewing, right? I just marked that resolved. So that is a functionality that, commenting a bit functionality usually have. You can just resolve. You can filter that back in to look at it. Maybe you want to open that thread again, you can unresolve it. And then you can focus back on that area and you can start commenting again. And so all these comments are here, mentions, your collaborators would get the notification on their end. If say you go outside the study, you click on the comment and that you have been notified, and that will bring you directly back into the study with that particular comment open, as you can see here. Right. So it's pretty, it's a commenting ability. It's pretty standard for what you get, in other collaborative tools. But we find that it's not a given in a microscopy imaging softwares like this. So with comment as well, we are thinking of also, after you have that discussion with your colleagues, we're also thinking about being able to convert comments into tasks. Say you have all these discussions, and then at the end of it, okay, there needs to be tasks that needs to be done, right? We're thinking about adding that to tasks as well, and that will be what I'll be touching on in a bit. Let me just change a different thing. So task is the next thing. It's cutting it a bit short. I think we're running out of time as well. Right. So tasks, as Matteo has alluded, so tasks are attached to a study. So say you start setting up your study, right? It could come from a Neuroglancer link, but also you could just have an empty study. But with tasks, you can assign your collaborators, okay, they can set up an image, right? You need an imaging done for the study. You can assign that, you can create a task, assign that to your collaborators all directly on NeuroGlass. There are other types of tasks as well, like scaffolding tracing, proofreading as another common one, right? So that's all possible on NeuroGlass soon. And we talked to, I think Matteo might have something to say.
So maybe a good time to, we prepared another poll as you're introducing tasks to get a sense for what kind of workflows people work with daily, to know what tasks may be useful. So maybe we can quickly do this. You should be seeing again the same thing that appeared earlier. In this case, there are 3 questions, so we'll give a bit more time to review. And because there's different groups that work on different things, and this is something that will also help us prioritize, see if there is an idea of some kind of tasks and workflows that people would find more useful to have in NeuroGlass, some others maybe less useful, and so on. So people are replying, maybe because this could take a bit. Sarah, why don't you continue? Because I see responses are arriving, but maybe somebody wants to give it a minute or two, and we don't want to go too late.
Yeah, cool. Right. So with tasks, now task is on your dashboard as well, right? So all you see is your task. So when you first enter NeuroGlass, if you have any pending tasks, that will be the first thing you see, and you just click on that. That goes into the task, or things that you need to do with the task. So there is also the task screen, which just lists all the tasks that are open. You can filter that directly to you. So you're just only focusing and seeing the tasks that you see. So it's pretty standard, task management system you would get with, if you're from the Jira or Monday, etc. It's pretty standard in that sense, but because the whole point of NeuroGlass is we want all the collaboration to happen in NeuroGlass And, having that one source of truth, we figured, and after talking to users, etc., that task would be another good feature to have. So what I just did there, I just click a skeleton tracing task. So we have the neuron ID and the coordinates as well. So we are currently working and collaborating with the Allen Institute to add an extension on Neuroglancer to have skeleton tracing capabilities. So because Neuroglancer is the engine that we use for visualization, whatever happens on Neuroglancer, we will have it on here. So we talked to tracers, users, and the pain points surrounding skeleton tracing, proofreading, and one of the things was, having spreadsheets and going to visualization, having to copy and paste the coordinates, and then going back again and saying, hey, it's done, and here's all the data. We want that to all happen directly on NeuroGlass. We're working on making it as easy as possible. So for instance, one of the things that you can do, what I'm doing here is just going directly to the coordinates, and you can see that the view changes to that particular neuron, just like that, without having to do anything. And say you want to start on a task. Let me just refresh my real quick here. Say you want to start on a skeleton tracing task or proofreading task. You just start, and that brings you back to this visualization with that SOMA coordinates that you had attached to the task. You have the skeleton panel open with all the tools that you can have. So all this, of course, will be available on Neuroglancer. What we're doing is just adding on top of it and making it more usable. So with Neuroglancer, if you're familiar, tools are attached to the keybinds. We make that even easier just by clicking a button, and that activates that tool itself, right? You don't have to worry about what keybind you have to activate. That's all possible directly on here. It's pretty, we try to make it as usable as possible. And with tasks, that comes, a lot of things that you can do with tasks, right? That's, you can flag a task, you can skip, you can pause, you can submit. So this kind of, loop that workflow to the very end, right? So what happens once you're done tracing, once you're done proofreading, you want to submit, maybe you want to go back to the spreadsheets, but if you want to submit it through NeuroGlass, that's possible. Just submit that neuron for review. Your reviewer or project lead will get that notification, and that's done, right? You can proceed to the next task, you can exit task mode, and you're back into the study, right? You can ignore tasks entirely. But yeah, so that's one of the things that we're working on. We're very excited about it. And I think Paulo has more features that he wants to talk about that we'll touch on for the rest of the year as well.
Yeah, thanks, Saya. This was very interesting and very nice. So, and thanks everyone for again being here. So after Matteo essentially gave us overview of what NeuroGlass can do today, and Saya took us through what NeuroGlass is going to be able to do in the very close and near future. Just want to take the last few minutes of this webinar to give you an overview of what is going to happen in the next 6 months, so by the end of the year. So in the second half of the year, we really want to make NeuroGlass evolve from a collaborative viewer into a full lifecycle platform, so a place where researchers and scientists can do their work and spend a majority of their time while doing their work. So the first one of these features is essentially what Saya has showed us now. So a task management system where scientists and researchers are going to be able to basically assign collaborators or even AI agents to perform work. In this work frame, basically where AI and humans will work together. Essentially, the first pass is going to be a place where the AI is going to improve maybe efficiency and do most of like the first pass of the work, and then humans are going to be kept in the loop for the proofreading part and for the reviewing and approval of the AI effort. The second feature that we are going to focus on, and I'm going to take over the screen share is basically AI segmentation, and the third one, collaborative annotation. So if you look at what NeuroGlass can do today, which is essentially showing and exposing the result of segmentation work as a layer on top of your of raw data. Think of this layer as appearing as a result of an automated AI step that happens inside NeuroGlass. So we're going to focus first on CellPost-SAM. So that was going to be the first AI pipeline that we want to integrate and make it accessible through to the user inside NeuroGlass. But we are also, of course, keeping our eyes out to what is more interesting for the community. So since we really want to connect with you and with users, please reach out and let us know either in the comments of this chat or via email, letting us know what you think are the AI processing pipeline that you think are more useful for your data. After that, we're also going to focus essentially on collaborative annotation, which essentially means that these annotations, as you see them on screen, will be and they are presented essentially as yet again a layer on your on the skeleton, are going to be able to be created directly inside the app. And as I described earlier, there's going to be workflows that allow people to edit and comment on other people annotations. This is all to make the work of researchers and the workflow that people work with every day more and more collaborative and intuitive and usable. We're also going to work on the ingestion, automated ingestion on data, as well as the connecting own and proprietary pipelines. But before getting there, I'd like to take another couple of minutes from the room to throw in a second, like a third and last, I think, pool. So I'm gonna close the one that we had before, and I'm going to ask for your collaboration to respond to the last poll that we have on screen right now, where essentially I'd like to kindly let us know what are the imaging modalities that you work with. That's the first question. And the second one is the type of research activity that you are mostly working on. But while that poll, since we're a little bit tight of time, runs in the background, I'm going to move on and bring back on screen our work on the fourth and fifth feature that we are going to implement by the end of the year. I have picked the wrong window, so give me 1 second. So what I want to talk about now is the automated ingestion. So you should see on screen what we think is going to be a distinctive feature of NeuroGlass. So we know that large data sets are hard to import and manage. So the way that we are conceptualizing this pipeline is giving to users the possibility to basically identify the source and fill in some metadata to then land to a page where they're going to be able to basically perform some pretty common pre-processing steps, like, for example, tiling. Many of these data sets requires stitching of tilings that rely on sometimes custom, sometimes more standard pipelines. So we mean to merge and include these pipelines in the acquisition workflow. And then also other steps like the alignment to existing brain atlas. So we're going to start maybe with the Allen brain atlas, but there's going to be, again, more atlases becoming available to users in the future. So from this step, basically, people are going to be able to either point to cloud bucket and S3 bucket, either private or public, or upload dataset and then perform some standard processing routines before essentially proceeding with the ingestion of the data. The final and last features that we are going to implement by year end is what we call essentially bring your own pipeline or connect to your own pipeline, which essentially means that we are aware of the fact that many places and many research labs have their own custom pipelines for pre-processing or post-processing the data, and are also eager to use their own or their own institution GPUs and infrastructure for running inference. So we essentially are going to enable the fact that you can run your own pipeline in your own infrastructure and then import as a layer the result of the inference on NeuroGlass as essentially that's going to appear as a layer on your study overlaid on the raw data. These are the five next steps that we are going to take essentially in the second half of 2026. And I think that we still have some time left for Q&A, but before we get there, maybe give the word back to Matteo for some closing remarks. And thanks everyone for your attention being here today.
Cool. Thanks so much, Paolo, and thanks, Sai, and thanks everyone for joining. So you have already seen NeuroGlass.io. You can try as much as you like. We have also like a website, neuroglass.com, where you can see some more details about the various features that exist, tiers, and so on. So if you have any questions or you would like to know more, get like a private demo, look at some particular functionality with your own data and so on, just do let us know. You can even just email me directly, matteo@neuroglass.com. You can leave a message here on chat if you like to be contacted, or also if you're using the tool and you have any feature suggestions or any bugs that you may bump into to report, we have embedded in the app a support portal whereby you can file anything you have. So yeah, I would say we have some few minutes to take some questions. If anybody has any, you can just use the chat. I think the other poll you started, Paolo, I will end because I think we got a lot of answers in. So thanks, thanks everyone.
I have a question, Matteo, about the skeleton. So there is a question, what kind of skeleton tracing capabilities are we working with?
So we are adding, thanks for the question. We're adding one main thing on Neuroglancer, which actually there is already a pull request for, which is the ability. So we're talking about light sheet here, first of all, and we added support, and this is something that was done in collaboration with the Allen Institute, support for a cut-made based backend to be the storage and the edit backend for the skeleton. So the idea being that you will be able, through Neuroglancer, to essentially have a new data source. This data source is a cut-made data source in the same way that you can already have a cave data source, for instance. And in this data source, then you will be able to fetch all the existing skeletons attached to that specific cut-made project, fetch them at different resolutions, and have all the traditional operations available, like split, merge, and whatnot. And this is going to be possible also on like plain Neuroglancer. And then there is the layer that Saya showed earlier that we are adding on top of Neuroglass on top of Neuroglancer with Neuroglass to have these workflows streamlined and integrated within a task system. Such you can imagine assigning to a group of tracers, proofreaders, a set of neurons that, for instance, need to be reviewed, and then underlying the functionality that you've seen would be the one I just described, but everything being extremely smooth, like a one-click kind of experience, and also having all of your collaborators and the collaborative features that you've seen available through the application.
We have another question. How easy is it to get data out of NeuroGlass?
Yeah, it's as easy as getting data out of Neuroglancer from that perspective. So the underlying, we're not like hiding anything. You essentially can still go and look at the state, for instance, in Neuroglancer through NeuroGlass, and you will be able to just copy anything that is there and paste it even in plain Neuroglancer, and things will just work. We have a copy compatible state that exists there as a feature. Then if the data was in a public bucket, because essentially something that I did not mention is that the data strategy for us is important that data stays where customers already has it, where labs already have the data. We do not have something like, oh, and to use all of these, you have to give us all of your data. No. While we have available for labs that do not have, for instance, the necessary infrastructure to store the data, the ability to offer our own cloud, to host it, to upload it, and so on. We also know that the vast majority of organizations already have some infrastructures. I already have some storage where they're keeping their data. And so the architecture and the model that we have for NeuroGlass is that we don't want that to move. We don't want to go and tell organizations, oh, and just put it here and it will be amazing. No, keep it where it is. And we have support also for S3 private buckets. And so if the data is also behind an S3 access layer, NeuroGlass is also capable of reading from those, and then to give the user the ability to once NeuroGlass has access to the private data, to then be able to share it with other people based on the permissions that you can easily set on NeuroGlass, which is like you put the email address of people you want to be sharing that study with, and that will be seamless, as opposed to going to AWS and figure out, okay, you need to this person needs to exist in our AWS infrastructure such that we can give them access and figure out the permission. So we really want to streamline collaboration. So yeah, as easy as it's not even getting inside NeuroGlass unless people want a place to upload it. In that case, we also have, of course, that infrastructure. So another question, is it automated skeletonization or semi-automated one? Are the skeleton? So right now, with skeleton tracing, you would be able to do two things. One, it's like, let's say you want to build ground truth. There is a zero skeleton that exists, and you can just go there, drop your nodes, and create your skeleton. Or you have already an inference that you've been running that gives you some good skeletons, but those need to be proofread. Then you're able to essentially, we would be loading those on CatMade and then connecting Neuroglancer to it. And so from that perspective, you have the human doing the proofreading. As part of what both Saya and Paolo talked about, in the future, we also are going to have the ability from NeuroGlass to extract skeletons automatically. So that means to be running the inference from NeuroGlass itself. So that would be essentially creating a task, selecting the ROI, and then, of course, it would be an asynchronous job that would be used in order to create the skeletons. But again, the experience for the user would be as simple as possible. Like you create a task, and then you will receive notifications. this number of skeletons were created, you will have all the skeletons ready to be proofread. Do you want to create a task to review each one of the skeletons? Yes. Boom, all the tasks for you. Okay. Do you want to assign to these tracers? And then you have that happening automatically. And by the way, these are things that I'm saying as a result of having talked to many people that have these needs, but we're very happy to talk to more and more people saying, hey, what actually would do it for me is if it was possible to do A, B, and C. Like this is how we've been building NeuroGlass, really. It's like we listen to problems and we address it. As MetaCell, we've been building software for life sciences for more than 15 years. So it's like we know how to build things. We know how to build things well. And I was also to thank the entire NeuroGlass team that has been working hard for more than 2 years at this point to build all of this. And yeah, I think we are at time. Thanks everyone for joining. Please do get in touch if there's anything you would like to clarify, get a demo. It's very simple. So just send me an email, matteo@neuroglass.com, and then I would be very happy to have any side conversation. Okay. Thanks again, Paolo.
Thanks,
and
everyone.
And thank you for joining. Talk to you soon. Take care.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone.